Okay, good morning. We started yesterday Ois Yud. We kind of rushed it, so I'll just go back. We'll start over there. Okay, based on everything what we explained, it's possible to explain. Chosh the Rambam break the pasuk same gamer year, even though the Rambam brings the pasuk of the fast on the fourth month will be. The Lecheda seemingly Alpia now had to Gedarf bringing the pasuk well fachli was vice if a heshen ili. The Elin versus Isgedict in Pasuk same year gamer canal. Now, according to the way that we just explained, the Rambam should have brought the Pasuk the Torah brought that I will transform their morning, which points to a higher level than that which is alluded to in the other Pasuk. Mate over the mit. However, the Rambam wants to say, Nidna as the Yemeat Semis. As their same gufa, but the Rambam wants to say that not only will the days of fasting be transformed into festivals, but the fast itself, in other words, the dimension of these days associated with pain and sorrow, will be transformed into gladness and joy. We have here to explain. The Indian von Hasidim lias Yom Tevim kommt der Rambam als a Hemshach zum friedigen Fall, called Tzemus Eila Hasidim the Bottle V'leid El Shehem Hasidim. The Rambam states that the fasts ultimately will be transformed into Yom Tevim. So where do we see that? The Rambam says that all the fasts will be nullified, and they are going to be transformed into Yom Tevim. Was von them is verstanden as a Inyan for Hasidim li Yom Tevim tutov achidish as a friedige Inyan for Hasidim li batel koleshu v'leid elachol. Now the word v'leid is tells us a new concept. That not only will the fast be nullified, but in addition there will be a chiddush. It will become Yom Tevim. The Rebbe can menit sagen as Rambam meint mit bloß das was die Tag vel ver Yom Tevim. Therefore, it cannot be said that the Rambam means only that these days themselves will become Yom Tevim. Weil das is abederch Likkutei Sichos von dem was Hasidim li batel, because there's no need to say this separately, because it's inevitable that once you bottle, that's what will happen. But Mazi is the Teva. As when it's very bottle amatzav, was it gaining given tsar, luft das Mila, array simcha in the Zman from the Friedike tsar. It's natural that the nullification of a situation that caused pain calls forth joy at a specific time when previously there was pain. So it was long as when even therefore, we're forced to say that indeed the chiddush is that also the aspect of the pain of the fast itself will be transformed to rejoicing. And if them break their diraya from the pasuk as etzing for the same year, therefore the Rambam brings the raya, the fast will be gladness and joy. In other words, not only the day, but also the very pain of the fast itself will be transformed to gladness and joy. Arrive them, so the Rebbe says, so it's a proof to this. I suppose it's same year the susten can the tight shivern oich b'shachat to be not setting gufa. What's the raya that it can also be interpreted as referring to the fast itself? If in Bach, so we find this in the Bach, the Beis Chodesh. This is what he says. Parach Migemara from Pasuk Anal, Kolel same Kolel Sasam. It says on the Pasuk that I will transform. The Gemara asks, these days are called fasts, and they're called Sasa, called gladness. Pirush Halasha Einem Yushav. The Mashma Hu Gufei Sasni V'Simcha. Mashi Yafsha Shelasim Atzmi Tzari Yogin Vanofo Hu. So the Bach says the Gemara is the Gemara asks, these dates are called fasts and they are called gladness. So the Gemara is suggesting that the interpretation of the pasuk's words is like is shaila. It implies that the fast itself is transformed into gladness and joy, and this is seemingly impossible since a fast itself is pain, suffering, it's anguish. So the pasuk should have said the fourth month will be transformed into gladness. The month that will be transformed from mourning into festival. But how could you say that the mourning itself is festival? It doesn't make sense. So the Bach says, as the word so the Bach says by using the word fasts, not months, the pasuk implies that the fast itself, the pain and suffering associated with it, will be transformed into joy. Okay, this is where we left off yesterday, and we'll do Yud Aleph. We spoke about on several occasions the Rambam's conception of the era of Mashiach, and the Rambam understands that within the era of Mashiach there's going to be two general periods. Aleph, the period at the beginning of the era of Mashiach was wegen dem wird gesagt, dass ein ben oilam hazeh l'meis Mashiach l'shiv machas bivad. So the first part of Mashiach, the first era of Mashiach, is like it says, there's not going to be a difference between the present era and the era of Mashiach except for the Yidden's subjugation to the non-Jewish kingdoms. As wird nicht bottled werden minhagi shel elam, und es wird dann nicht sein kechidush k'maisa bereishis ala elam k'minhagi neig. At that time, the ordinary pattern of existence will not be nullified. There will not be any chiddush in the work of creation, but the world will continue according to its existing patterns. The only thing is that the Yidden will not be subjugated to the Goyim. And Beis, Ashpatadik Tkufa, you'll have a later period, was in Ir vet zayin Tchias HaMesim, we're going to have Tchias HaMesim. When es vet bottle, when Oich l'das HaRambam min hagi shel elam, so vet zayin Chidush b'mayis bereishis. The second Tkufa is going to will include Tchias HaMesim, when even the Rambam agrees that the prevailing pattern of existence will be nullified and there will be a chiddush in the work of creation. Nor v'balas das seinen yonim was leyeda adam eich ihr hat shir dvarim shesum lehein choli. When he sida is dvarim edubli diktuke yikabardas, the Rebbe bringt nitim inyef in the Sefer Yad. Now, the only reason the Rambam does not mention this in his Mishnah Torah and Sefer Yad is because all these and similar matters will not be clearly known by man until they occur, because they're undefined, and nor are they a sequence of events and their precise details of fundamental faith fundamental in faith. Therefore, the Rambam doesn't bring it in Sefer Yad. He says, now, according to this, it's possible to understand why the Rambam divides the halacha at the end of Hilchas Tainis into two clauses. While the Tzvein Yanim in Bikla Atzim is the Mezah Mashiach, while Zayin Tzveibas in the Tkufas. Because the two dimensions of the nullifications of the fast and the era Mashiach will occur at two different periods. In the Erfet Kufa, Ven Shalom Ba'ilam, Vel Batal Vern Tzemis. In the first period, when peace will prevail in the world, the fast will be nullified, and as a direct consequence, the fast will become Yom Tev, as explained in Yud. Aber der zweite Inyan as die Tzumas Gufa, was at same aspect it's young Vanocha, who on the Sabbath around the Sassan Simcha is in the Pchina von Bittel, min Hagi Shel Edom, und Rimmer wird sich das Auftan erst in der zweite Tkufa von Mezah Mashiach. Now, the second point of the fast himself, in other words, the dimension of the fast that is pain, suffering, and anguish, will be transformed into gladness and joy, represents a bittul of the ordinary pattern of existence. Therefore, this will be achieved only in the second period in the era of Mashiach. So, while the Rambam divides into two separate cases, why does he in two different periods, two different cases? Because there's going to be two different tkufas. Just in the Mashiach is going to have two different tkufas. So the first kufa, when there's going to be shalom in the world, so the actual fast will be batal. It's going to be Yom Tevim. But the second kufa, the sameness itself, are going to be transformed into gladness and joy. That's only going to happen by the second kufa of Mezah Mashiach. Yud Beis. Okay, the Thomas the Rambam break after the pasuk same year the Beis Yehuda. Now, the reason why the Rambam cites the pasuk specifically of the fast of the fourth month will be a day of gladness and joy and festivals for the house of Yehuda, and not the pasuk of I will transform, is Valdaz Negeder from Beis Yehuda, because it's in this context it's important to emphasize the house of Yehuda. Why Vabir? What to explain? The Iker Kaishi Ashibut Gzeres Malchus from Golus is by Beis Yehuda. Nicht bei den Aseres HaShvatim, was haben gelegenen Me'evel in Ar, Sambatien, wie man sagt in der period, the Dadati at Achas Mirabis the Dadati. Now, the primary hardship suffering in Golus which is the decrees of the ruling of the kingdoms, were basically by the house of Yehuda and not by the Esher Shvatim, which were exiled beyond the Sambadian River. So that's what we say. That's what it says in the Medrash. That's what we say in the Tisha B'Av. We say the Esher Shvatim were forced to wander once, while the house of Yehuda have wandered many times. So basically, the tribulation is borne by the Beis Yehuda throughout Golas did not really affect the Esher Shvatim. So it says, Nadati at achas v'rabis nadati chuli. The Esher Shvatim were forced to wander once, but Yehuda had to wander many, many times. Now, we balance the Gridla Simcha from the Tzivis the Messer Mashiach Nemzich, and if you erch them Gridla Tzar from the Tzivis is Manad Golas, the great joy that will be experienced in Erev Mashiach holidays that are now commemorating fast stems from the intensity of the anguish experience on the fast of Golas. Therefore, in order to highlight the great joy that will be experienced on those days in the Erev Mashiach, bring the Rambam the pasuk Yeh the Beis Yehuda l'sas. Therefore, the Rambam brings the pasuk of gladness the house of Yehuda was the mitzvah Midrash. By doing so, the Rambam highlights as by Zeiv at the Sas of Simcha I feel gresser and Mas. This highlights that since Beis Yehuda experiences far more hardships due to the subjugation to the non-Jews, so therefore their gladness is going to be more higher. Because their hardship was a lot harder. No, rebelled as them with Zion. Now, since the future time they shall love true and peace, the actors zwischen Yehuda und Yosef hat auch die Simcha Yisrael von Beis Yehuda durchnehmen, and nevertheless, at the future time they shall love truth and peace, there will be unity between Yehuda and Yosef. The extra dimension of Simcha experienced by the house of Yehuda will pervade and encompass all the Yidden, even the 10 Shvatim as a whole, who are identified as Yosef. That's why the Rambam brings this pasuk of Tzem Yeh the Beis Yehuda, because who's really experiencing the anguish? This is Beis Yehuda. So automatically the Simcha is going to be a lot stronger, which is going to have an effect on all the Shvatim who are identified with Yosef. Okay, Yud Gimel. Hagam as the Adgosha Anal is Beis Yehuda, and Beis Yehuda as a great Simcha Nemzir Dafka Mitzadam Kesha Shibud was as given Mer Bigger Beis Yehuda. Now, even though we're explaining that the emphasis were placed on Beis Yehuda because they will experience greater joy in the future, because the hardship of the subjugation to the non-Jews was primarily experienced by them. It's found in them at Sveiten Eifen, the Ilsef Bav, as the Biklat Simmers Valzai Vern. Now, this concept also applies according to the second explanation that we explained in Sivav, that the nullification of the fast will cause those days to become days of gladness and joy. Was Gresser as a Yogin Manacha von den Zehn, als mehr ist die Simcha, wenn der Zehn werden Bottle. Now, because the greater the intensity of the sorrow and anguish of the fast, the greater the joy will be when the fast is nullified. From this veg, nevertheless, Badr, I'm remembering the passing with that Gosh of Beis Yehuda, but he gets some dritten leif, and says that I'm also brings this pasuk which emphasizes the house of Yehuda in reference to the three dimensions stated above. Thus was the Tzimis Asov on the Sabbath Sos and Simcha, that the fast himself will be transformed into gladness and Simcha. Dafür sagen wir, das says, Echter Inyan, Mahabel sein dem Zim Besossen hat Hashakas Michaelis the Beis Yehuda. This compels us to say that the dimensions of the transformation of the distress of the fast, the gladness is also connected specifically to Yehuda. The beer and them, I'll be previous. To explain this, I'll be previous. The other shades between Yosef and Yehuda and Dargas Aveda. What's the difference between Yehuda and Yosef in terms of service? Yosef is in Yani Talmud. Gida Likus Ma'alamata. Yosef is the idea of studying Torah, which is the revelation of godliness downwards within the material plane. And Yani Yehuda is Maisa. However, Yehuda is identified with action, the refinement and purification of Gashmis. And the Chilukim Tzishin Gida Likus Ma'alamata and Zikhamata. What's the difference between the approaches of the Aveda and that from the standpoint of the relation of godly light, Yosef. Mitzad Gilei wird bottle, wird the Cheshach Hamata nor bottle. Mitzad Gilei is the Cheshach is bottle. Durch sich Hamata wird the Cheshach Kufin is Apachai, is Apachashech. However, through the refinement of the material realm of Yehuda, the darkness itself is transformed into light. On the river, and therefore, Mitzad B'chinas Yosef wird aufgetan nar das was Hatzemis Ila sitting in the bottle. Therefore, the divine service stemming from the attribute of Yosef only accomplishes the nullification of fast. Over there, Ufta Mitzad Beis Yehuda is as the Tzimis Asums for an Nesabach. However, what is Yehuda? The refinement of Yehuda is the transformation of even the agony and the fast himself to gladness and joy. We'll continue with Hashem Yudalid tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.